Hey everyone, this is Lynn Bartown, and you are listening to the Apex Hour on KSUU Thunder 91.1. In this show, you get more personal time with the guests who visit Southern Utah University from all over, learning more about their stories and opinions beyond their presentations on stage. We will also give you some new music to listen to and hope to turn you on to some new sounds and new genres. You can find us here every Thursday at 3 p.m., on the web at scu.edu/apex, or email us at scuapex@icloud.com. But for now, welcome to this week's show here on Thunder 91.1. Okay, how exciting. We're here again. So those of you who've been listening live, it's twice in 1 week. My name is Lynn Vartan. This is the Apex Hour, and it's time to talk about art. I'm so excited for this week's event because it's definitely an area and a subject matter that I love, especially being in music and teaching here in music at Southern Utah University. It's a great opportunity to kind of show off all the cool things we have going on in the College of Visual and Performing Arts. So that's what we're going to do today. We have 3 of our senior artists here in the house, and they are all participating in their Bachelor of Fine Arts capstone exhibition at the Southern Utah Museum of Art, which is right here in Cedar City. And that exhibition opened on March 20th and will be on all the way until May 5th. And we're going to talk about their art, we're going to talk about their background, and talk about the creative process in general. So what I'd like to do is just let them introduce themselves. So Jordan, how about you go first?
Okay. My name is Jordan Haskell. I'm from Orem, Utah. My show was the motion graphics, and it's based on an actual film that will hopefully one day be pitched to LA and Hollywood called Banking on Crazy.
That's so cool. And I know you told the story a little bit earlier today, but can you tell me that cool story about the topic of what it's about?
Yeah, so it's about a group of friends who are trying to make their way in LA. They want to start their own film production company, and they try to crowdsource it, and it doesn't end up going anywhere. So they have a brilliant idea to trick a bank owner into thinking that his location has been chosen for a movie, and they end up robbing him while filming at the same time.
I just think that's so fun and
yeah,
so
it's a great
cool.
story.
How did they come up with that? I mean, do you know?
Well, there's a process, and there's writing, and then it goes through a bunch of revisions. And my friend who let me do the project for him, he's the one who actually wrote it. It's his own original script, so it's really cool to be working with someone with that much talent. Yeah,
I can totally see that, absolutely going off and really taking off.
Definitely,
so we'll keep our eyes out for it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Who'd like to go next? You want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. So my name is Melissa, and senior graphic designer. In the show, I did a branding and packaging project.
Yeah.
And it's based off of a company called Eves, which I made up, and it's a kind of like a bath product company. So there's hand soaps, bath bombs, shampoo and conditioner. And then I was inspired by a piece that I did in my lithography class. It's just like a floral print that I did on lithography, which is a process of drawing on stone. And I took that floral piece and incorporated that into the brand, and did like a pattern. And with the Eves brand, I wanted to keep it very natural and organic. So I made all the soaps myself, so I know what ingredients went into it. And the branding style is very minimal. There's not a lot of color in it. I just wanted it very clean and simple.
That's so cool. Have you always kind of wanted to do sort of a bath and body line, or did that come about with this project?
It just came from the project. I actually did in our branding class that we took last year. We were supposed to do a bottle.
A beverage.
A beverage, yeah. It was a beverage. And mine was Eve's hard cider, but I ended up not really liking the project and it didn't turn out how I wanted it. So I knew I still wanted to use that Eve's name and brand. And so I just turned that into my capstone, and I was like, what can I do that kind of fits the style that I'm looking for? And then it just evolved into the bath products.
That's cool. Where does the name Eve's come from? Does that have a particular meaning?
No, not really. So with the beverage, since it was a hard cider, I just thought it was kind of a cheeky name to name it Eve's, and I wanted it more feminine. And so, yeah, that just kind of rolled over into my capstone project.
That's great. Do you think you'd like actually make and sell the soaps now? Are you?
I had a few offers actually. A couple of people have asked if I sell it and told me they want to buy it, but right now I'm focusing on graduating and not really have time to like worry about putting it up on a website or anything like that. And it's a lot of work to make it and stuff. So
I know, because I mean, you have to kind of mix it and it hardens and put it in molds and all that kind of stuff.
And then it's like money to make the packaging and like get it printed and stuff like that. So
but
right now, I'm not selling it.
But your line is on display at the museum, so we could go check it out and maybe you'll get some more offers. You never know. Okay. And then Michelle.
My name is Michelle, and I am a senior photography major here at SUU. I am graduating / have graduated. It's a little complicated, but I'm here. I'm going to be walking at graduation. And my show focuses on my real love for adventure. I call it my adventure photography. It really focuses on like a person wandering in the wilderness, like solo in a huge, vast landscape. And I really like that aesthetic right now.
Yeah. Tell me a little more about it. Like you were talking about, you have people always in your work or often in your work?
Yes. So generally, I started with landscape because it's kind of, there's this grand tradition behind landscape photography, but I felt it was a little, it made it very hard to connect. It was a beautiful picture and that was it for me.
Right.
And so, but the second I put a person in, it made it feel like that could be me, even though it was me, I was there to take the picture, but it inspires this adventurous spirit within me to, go out and hike and adventure and discover the things that are unknown. And I kind of am pursuing this creative idea right now.
That's great. And you've done some adventuring yourself, right?
Yeah. So I've not only hiked all over Utah, but I've been to Africa last summer, most recently to study wildlife photography and basically travel photography and photojournalism, but I was really focused on the animal aspect. So I actually have a huge section of my portfolio that is wildlife, and hopefully that will be a stepping stone for my future in pursuing wildlife photography.
Yeah. How did that trip come about? I mean, did you just kind of design it and get over there, or did you know somebody? How did someone from Utah end up going to Africa to take pictures?
It was actually a study abroad offered through the school. So I got credit for it, and it was something that I never thought I would do. Africa hasn't really ever been a huge calling place for me. I've always been tropical islands, fun places to go and visit. But for whatever reason, this struck a chord with me, and I was like, I could go to Africa. And I ended up actually crowdfunding the whole trip from family and friends, and I went, and I've gotten some amazing shots from it. So,
oh my gosh,
hooray.
That's amazing. Well, congrats on that, and congrats to all of you for getting through school. You're almost done and ready for the next step. That's exciting. Tell me a little bit about how you guys got started in art and maybe some of the other mediums that you've worked in. For example, I know, Melissa, you've also worked in photography.
Yeah, I have. And ironically, I did the same study abroad trip that she did.
She totally
2 years
did. Yeah.
previously.
Cool.
Yeah, so I went to Africa, and that was my life dream, was to take pictures of lions in Africa. And so when the opportunity came up, I was like, yes, I don't know how, but I'm going. And so I went over there and started crying when I took pictures of the lions because it fulfilled my dream. And yeah, it was amazing. But my background with photography kind of started with my dad. Mm-hmm. There's this cute little picture of me. I'm 3 years old and I have a camera and taking pictures. It was just something I always grew up around. And my older sister is very artistic and always made like clay figurines and painting. And I always wanted to be my older sister. And so I kind of just followed in her footsteps. And that's kind of where my art background came from. And then I went into school doing a minor in photography. And like I said earlier today, I have a degree in math. And that's where I like started. And then when I graduated, during school, the photography minor turned into a graphic design minor. And then when I graduated, I just decided to pursue my real passion of doing art and decided to get the full degree in graphic design. And here I am.
That's great. Do you use when you do your photography, do you use any cameras like from your dad, or do you pass down any equipment or anything like that?
I haven't actually. Well, he's like given me a few. He gave me one for my birthday, my sophomore year. But all of like his collection and his antiques and stuff like that are just at home sitting there. And I'm like, can you just give them to me?
It's like, not yet. Yeah. Not yet. Jordan, how about you? How did you get started in art and design?
That's a great question. It's kind of scattered. I mean, I started out really young, painting and drawing, and I took art lessons from a private artist. And actually, pastel was my forte. That's actually what I really started realizing I might have a talent for it. But I don't know. It never like really stuck with me, the fine art side of it. I really enjoyed the graphic design. When I was first like discovering and exploring, I actually thought I wanted to do 3D animation, like the whole Pixar, Dream, everything. So I do also do some 3D work as well. But I found out that I really loved design. So it kind of came full circle with motion graphics, because I can use those elements to pursue and continue graphic design while still like injecting those hobbies and passions that I have into it.
Tell me about painting lessons. I'm not sure I really knew that was a thing.
Yeah, she was just a freelance artist who was offering to have anybody really come in and learn how to paint. She did acrylic and watercolor mostly, but she started us off on pastel because it's a lot easier workable format. So she just kind of went through like all of her design or painting principles, I guess you would say, with us.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
And for those listening who may not know what motion graphics is or what that involves, can you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah,
motion graphics, pretty much anytime on moving film, web videos, anything really, anytime that there's implied motion, it all has to be designed. We design how the text moves, how the shape and imagery moves. Sometimes it's just using a camera, but it can also be graphic elements as well, like with the text, or illustrations sometimes need to move a certain way. And sometimes we're trying to imitate actual life, and other times we're trying to make it a little more abstracted.
Cool. Yeah. That's great. And how did you get into photography and adventure? Just like hiking probably, and like, I love this.
Well, kind of. I actually started at SUU with a theater degree. And I realized that I like controlling a lot of the things about acting that I can't really control, like a director's supposed to control that kind of stuff. And so I was like, I want to control my environment more, and I want to expand on my love for the outdoors. And so in my brain, I was like, what does that mean? What does that look like? And the first logical conclusion I came to was photography. And I was like, okay, you've never really shot anything before. Why photography? And for whatever reason, there was like this pull. And so I just started shooting, and it developed. I really liked. I have a bunch of friends that are into hiking, and they came back with amazing photographs. And I was like, I want to get stuff like that. And it kind of developed from landscape photography to my own adventurous style, which has been awesome watching. I never knew that I could do that or that would happen.
Oh, cool. Well, that's great to get to know you guys a little bit. I think it's time for our first musical break. And we're going to hear a song that's called Tartaro. And it's by a group called Busca Bula. And it's from it's the title track from the album, from the group Tartaro, album and song name. And just a reminder that you're listening to KSUU. This is the Apex Hour on Thunder 91.1. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Apex Hour. My name is Lynn Vartan, and we are talking about all things art today. I'm joined in the studio with a few of our senior artists in the Bachelor of Fine Arts, Melissa Kruger, Michelle Gray, and Jordan Haskell. Welcome back, guys.
Back.
And so to continue our discussion, I wanted to talk about inspiration. Do you have anything in particular that is really inspiring to you or really helps kind of propel your work forward right now? Is there anything that's like really moving to you? Like we were talking with the outdoors, is there something about just being outside that really moves you, or is there something else that's really inspiring you?
Yes, to both. I kind of went into depth about this earlier, but there's like this need for me to create. And sometimes that means going out and pursuing photos, trying to see the shot. But more than anything, it's about feeling the shot. Like you go out there and like you see it and you know you have to get it. Otherwise you might die. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of pursuit of that feeling, like that high you get a little bit when you know it's going to be a good shot. That's what keeps on propelling me forward, and that kind of inspires me a little bit with that. As well as I actually have an Instagram where I solely follow photographers that take photos that I like. And so if I'm in like a rut, I'll just scroll through my Instagram and say, okay, like I can make something like this, but how can I modify it? How can I change it? How can I make it my own? And that, to me, is what keeps me propelled forward and making new art and making the kind of art that I make.
I love that as a way to sort of finding inspiration and using social media to find inspiration. It's really a clever way. What about the rest of you? Do you have like vision boards? Do you keep journals? Like, how do you keep your inspiration fired up?
I don't know. I don't really have one specific thing, but like Michelle, I go on Instagram. I follow some of my friends who have graduated a few years ago, so they've been in the either grad school or been working. And sometimes their work inspires me, or other graphic designers that I follow on Instagram. But then also just going on Behance, which is the Adobe, I don't know how to explain Behance, but
yeah, I don't know what
it's like
that is.
Pinterest for graphic designers, kind of.
Is it an open source thing that anybody can do?
I think so, yeah. And yeah, you just post your stuff. It's like a portfolio almost, but you can see everyone else's work, and kind of like Pinterest. So yeah, Behance, Pinterest, it's like how I get my ideas flowing. And I'm really drawn to like the minimal designs, and typography. I don't know. I think that's probably
that's so cool. So Behance
from.
Is like Behance.
Mm-hmm.
And so like if you just
Behance.
Google that, you can find
You'll
it.
find it, yeah.
Oh,
Behance.net.
learn something new.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Jordan, how about you? Where does your inspiration come from?
I mean, a lot of it comes from film. I collect movies. But I also, it's kind of embarrassing, but I collect cartoons.
Oh, that's not embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I'm talking about like from Nickelodeon to Cartoon Network, like
That's cool.
all sorts of different cartoons. Because I like to see the way that they solve different problems, different storytelling problems, different animation styles, which all lead back to motion design as well. But
So do you have like a playlist? I mean, how do you have like a catalog somewhere and you just go like, oh, let me dip in here?
yeah, I like to explore and look at different types of shows and different types of movies. I'll follow a bunch of different like podcasts or blogs that do the same theme. They kind of dive into like different animation styles and different motion graphic content, and they all just discuss it and they analyze it. So it's really cool. And so I go and find my own, and I look at how they either made this character move or how they made their text move, and I kind of like build off of that, kind of analyze it.
Okay, that makes me have so many more questions. Okay, so so if somebody wanted to see what, in your opinion, is an amazing piece of animation, what would be your suggestion of something that's kind of easy to find?
Yeah, I would say like one of my favorite is Glenn Keane. He is a animator. Oh, not anymore. He was an animator for Disney, but he really focuses on his keyframes. And basically, in a nutshell, animation is just an illusion of something moving. You're basically given 24 frames is usually the standard, and you draw out each frame by hand. And then sometimes you either go quickly or slowly, depending on what kind of feel you want, in between each of those frames. And he recently did a project where in today's world, when you film, 60 frames per second is the standard versus 24. And to get that kind of movement, he actually drew out every 1 second is 60 frames. So he drew them all out by hand, and it's pretty like inspiring. Those are the types of things that I think where trying to push the envelope, that's what makes a good motion graphic.
That's amazing. And what was his name again?
His name's Glenn Keane.
Keane, how do you spell Keane?
Keane.
Okay, great. So I'm going to look that stuff up, Do you have an opinion on anime? Is that something you like, or is it?
I'm never against it. There are sometimes it like goes beyond maybe what I understand about the culture. But there are definitely some very talented anime artists out there. Yeah.
How about a blog? If somebody's kind of curious and maybe wants to dip in and read a little bit about this world, is there a blog that you could recommend?
Motionographer, I would say it would be the place to start. That's like the that's like the top. Like if you can get your work onto there, that's like you're in for forever.
Okay, Motionographer. That's a blog.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then how about for you guys, do you have a favorite, film or movie or blog or something that would really, like a favorite photographer or a favorite designer? You were mentioning some graphic design people that you follow. If somebody wanted to really see work that you thought was awesome, who would you direct them to? Or if you need a minute to think about it, we'll move on and do the photographer thing.
So the hard thing about photography is you can Google just about everything about it. I hate to say that. Don't tell any of my professors I said that. But really, if you were interested in learning, I would probably try to learn the 3 areas of exposure. And you can Google that anywhere and try to balance them. But as far as great photographers go, Chris Burkhardt is killing it right now. And if you were interested in taking a class from him, it's really expensive and it's in Pismo Beach, but you can follow him on Instagram. He also shoots for National Geographic, and he's super cool, and his work is so beautiful.
And what was his name again?
Chris Burkhardt.
Okay, great. Well, we'll definitely check that one out too. Okay, do we have a graphic designer?
Yeah, it's so there's a brand agency, I think it's in LA.
It's in Blind.
This one's called The Future. Is that the one that you're talking about?
He has another studio called Blind. Yeah.
So his name's Chris Do, right? I just don't want to be wrong.
Like D-O-E?
D-O, that's it.
D-O, yeah. So he is the owner of these studios, but this one's called The Future, Futur, with no E at the end. But when I'm kind of just want to learn more instruction on graphic design and stuff, he actually does like live Facebook videos and YouTube videos, and he'll have people like send in portfolios or stuff that they're working on, logos or anything like that, and he'll actually critique it in a live video and say like, this is what I would do differently. And it's really cool that he gets to do that.
Cool.
And he'll answer questions coming in. But I just think that he's a really good designer and he knows a lot of stuff. So he'll just do like tutorial videos or like how to even make a portfolio and like what to do brand wise and things like that. So I like following them on Instagram and watching those YouTube videos.
That sounds like a great resource. And again, his name and the company?
Chris Doe, and this one's called The Future.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Instagram is The Future is Here.
The Future is Here.
Yeah.
Wow. And he has another company? Is that what you were?
Well, yeah, his agency is called Blind.
Oh, okay.
And the YouTube channel, Instagram, his like social media campaigning is called The Future, is how it works.
Nice. Yeah. That all sounds like very well designed.
Yeah.
Well, cool. That's great to know about your inspiration. I think it's time for another song. This song is called Heaven, and it's the title track from the album Heaven. And the artist is Jamila Woods. And again, you're listening to the Apex Hour, KSUU Thunder 91.1.
Show me how you do that trick, the one that makes you love someone. The world wants us so numb and alone. Show me how you do it, the one that makes the winters warm, the one where summer never comes. I don't wanna run away with you, I wanna live our life right here. I just wanna fall asleep by you.
Okay, welcome back to the Apex Hour. My name is Lynn Vartan, and I am joined in the studio today with some of our senior artists, Melissa Kruger, Michelle Gray, and Jordan Haskell. And we're talking about all things art. And this is the Apex Hour on KSUU Thunder 91.1. Welcome back, guys.
Yay.
Well, in this chunk, I'd like to talk a little bit about a topic we haven't gotten too much into, and that is kind of like where you think art is going nowadays and how you're feeling about it. As you embark on careers, I mean, you already have them started in art and design. Are you feeling nervous for the future? Are you excited for the future? You know, how are you feeling about sort of the industry right now? Is it hot? What's going on in your individual disciplines?
I could talk a long time about
Okay,
what's going
let's
on in
hear
the
some.
photography
Yeah.
world. I'm also a forever optimist, so I am very excited about all the changes I'm seeing. The camera has gotten so much more popular in the last 10 years than it ever has been because everybody has them on their phone, you know?
Yeah.
So everybody can take pictures. And so we've developed new ways to cram more megapixels into smaller spaces, which is incredible. Like the size, I'm holding up 2 fingers right now and they have a very small gap between them. That's how big your sensor is in your iPhone, and you can get these great shots. And I can't help but think that someday, like my big setup, my DSLR camera that I have, it's going to be out one day. And I have no idea what that's going to be next. Technology is advancing so fast, but it's exciting more than anything. The promise of getting really, really incredible photos with like either smaller or more advanced equipment. It's a very tempting idea, like, ooh, like switch out my DSLR for a new mirrorless system, or there's a new camera that has like 18 lenses that does different depths of field so you can get tack sharp focus in one shot. So it's just interesting. Things
it
are
scary?
changing. Again, forever an optimist. I'm like a little bit, only because cameras are expensive.
Yeah, right.
And so if I invest like 10 grand into a setup and it changes, that's kind of frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, I'm hoping that I'm making enough money to change with the times.
Right. Sounds good. Okay. I like the optimism plan.
Yeah.
How about graphic design or in motion graphics? What's the vibe right now?
And I mean, motion graphics and design, they fall in the same category, I would feel like. And I feel like there's so much technology and so much information out there that it can be very competitive. But I also feel like there's a movement of moving away from that technology and going back to like traditional methods.
Oh.
Which is like one of the reasons I started watching more and more traditional animation, because that's what inspired the tools that we have today that we use motion graphics for. And I kind of, Melissa could probably chime in, but I feel like it's the same way in graphic design. Like we were saying off air, like pretty much anybody can pick up Photoshop and say, oh, I'm a designer now. So I think there's principles that they're focusing more on, and it'll always be needed, I feel like, especially with film and video. It reaches such a broad audience that it's always going to be in demand. So I feel pretty bright for the MoGraph future.
I like it. Anything to add?
Yeah, like Jordan was saying, I think there's always going to be a need for it, especially when I feel like now is the time that people are starting new companies and new brands, and like business owning is a huge thing right now. And with that goes branding, and they need marketing, and they need a logo and packaging and all of that stuff to go with it. And so whether it's in an agency or in-house or even freelancing, I think like it's very positive, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah. How do you feel about the skills? Like what in your mind, in your areas, what do you think are some of the important skills or personality traits that you are cultivating in yourself that you think will be really key to your success? Is there anything that you feel like you particularly have naturally, or maybe that you're working on cultivating that are going to make you more marketable, or you think are going to really contribute to your success? Any thoughts?
Well, I don't think design is something just anyone can do. Maybe that's a bold statement to say, but I definitely think you have to have like an eye for it and know what good design is. A lot of people just say, well, I could have made that logo in 3 seconds. And it's like, well, how, like, comparing how well would it be, you know, and who can tell the difference, you know, if you can tell the difference. I don't know where I'm going with that, but
That's okay.
I think that you really, like, we all have a talent, and, like, I think it is something that you're kind of born with, and you have an eye for design. Obviously there are skills that you can learn, like typography and like letting and tracking and even letterpress and printmaking and stuff like that. But to come up with the design and know that it is a good design is, I think, a skill to already have.
I see. Any others?
Yeah, there's a lot of problem solving and critical thinking that I think most people don't realize when they're first getting into design. They feel like it's just going to be all, I don't know,
Drawing, painting.
yeah, album covers
Yeah,
and social media, and there's just so much more to it that, yeah, it can be bracing when you get down. Like I said, problem solving and critical thinking, they're all very much part of design as much as the aesthetic part.
Yeah, I think an example of that, just for people who don't really see the relation with that, is I always go to publications and say a client gives you an article and you have to put it in a magazine, but you only have 1 page to do it. That's a problem solving thing. You have to come up with a good design to fit that article in it without cutting any content, because the client doesn't want to cut any content. So that's kind of like the problem solving that I see from that end, to give an example.
How about the customer interaction piece of the puzzle? Does that come easy for you? Is that something you feel like you have to develop? Is that something you think about? Is that part of the landscape?
I'd say yes. I think it's definitely something that you have to learn, and some people are better at it than others, but you learn like key phrases, you learn how to interact with people, and especially with the option for all of us as freelancers, like you got to sell yourself. Like, no one's going to hire a moody photographer or like a quiet, boring, like graphic designer. Like they're going to hire someone whose work that they like and they seem like a good person and a good fit for whatever job that there is.
Right.
So you got to be able to kind of like gauge your audience a little bit, see kind of what they're wanting, what they're feeling, and decide if that's for you, and then let them know that you're that person for them.
Cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, please. No, go for it. Are you kidding?
Clients are, I think, very tricky to work with. Photography also, I've worked with clients, and graphic design, because a lot of, I don't know how to explain it, but you just have to find the right balance and not like overpowering them, but let them know that you know what you're talking about. And like you're the expert on it and they aren't.
Yeah.
And just finding that right balance is sometimes difficult.
Do you have any suggestions for any would-be clients out there that can help your side of things as the designer? What would you, if you wanted, you know, what's a dream client? What can we come in knowing or having thought about to help your side of things?
One thing that I put in my photography contract actually is basically saying, like, you've seen my work, you know what you're buying, kind of thing. Like, you are aware of my work and my style, and I'm not going to change that. Like, my style is my style. And that's what you're hiring the person for. 'Cause I've had, photography is just an easy example to go to, but I've had clients that are like, well, can you re-edit this kind of the way that I want it? And it's like, well, no, I can't, because that's not my style. And so I think if the client just knew that, like, what they're getting into, I guess, who they're hiring and what kind of design work or photography style.
Cool. Anything else to add to that?
I say that, sure, we make it look like it's easy, but it doesn't mean that you could do it too.
Right.
That sounds really, really mean, but it's like someone's like, oh, all you're doing is, pressing a button and taking a photo. And it's like, actually, like I'm monitoring the light. I'm making the background blurry or sharp. I am composing the image in such a way that like it's looking pleasing to you. And you don't even know that that's going on.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, oh, well, why would I pay you that much if I could do it myself? And oftentimes I'm like, go do it yourself
It's a
then,
pet
and we'll
peeve,
see
definitely.
the difference.
Yeah. I wish the clients just knew, like as a freelancer, I charge $20 an hour, which is actually very cheap.
Yeah.
And I should be charging way more, but I'm still a student. And I have so many people saying like, oh, how much do you charge? And I tell them per hour. And then they're like, oh, how much do you think a whole branding project gonna take? And I'm like, oh my goodness, like it could take weeks, months, like who knows? And sometimes I kind of just give them a range, like this many hours. And then they're like, okay, thanks. And like never hear from them again because they're like, that's so expensive.
shopping
But
around,
yeah, they don't understand the process.
Right.
Like-
Well, it's just weird because it's like they think they're literally just paying for you to like, wiggle the mouse and arrange things, like in a Microsoft Word document. But it's like, oh, like I have paid for this skill. I pay for my laptop. I pay for my power. If I'm paying rent, if I'm paying for food, like.
And
if
it's
this
a
was
design process.
Yeah, exactly.
We do research about the company that we're going to brand or whatever. And then we do research of what kind of design style we want to go for and matches the company. And we put together mood boards for the client and then meetings with the client. And then we go through steps. It's not just I'm going to sit down one time and do this. So that's something that I wish the clients knew.
Yeah. Okay, cool. How about advice maybe that you have gotten in this part of your career or earlier in your career that you have felt that has been really important or really valuable? Is there any advice that anyone's given you or that you have found to be particularly key in your artistic endeavors or in your business endeavors? Anything you can think of there?
I think just knowing your worth and not with my photography business. I always want to lowball because I want clients, but advice I've been given like time and time again is those just aren't the clients that you want if you have to lowball yourself. Just set your price range at what you think you're worth, and then the clients that you want are going to come to you. And I think that's like the best advice that I always have to remind myself is like, no, I'm worth this much. And so I'm not going to settle or give discounts or anything like that because I know that this is what I should be charging.
Cool.
Right.
Any other advice, thoughts, or key words or input?
I would just echo that as well. I mean, there are times where we all feel like we're not good enough, but if you don't respect yourself, like she's saying, then your clients aren't going to respect you either. Mm-hmm. And that comes with like asking for the appropriate amount to be paid and just being confident and trusting yourself that you do know what you're doing and that you do have those skills that are on demand.
Great. Cool. Okay, well, we have one more musical break here, and this song is called Queen, and the artist is Janelle Monáe, but also it features Erykah Badu, so I think that you might enjoy that. Again, this is the Apex Hour, and you are listening to KSUU Thunder 91.1.
Just can't No, no, the booty don't lie. Oh no, the booty don't lie.
Yeah. Yeah, let's flip it. I don't think they understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I asked a question like this. Are we a lost generation of our people? Add us to equations, but they'll never make us equal. She who writes the movie on the script and the sequel. So why ain't the stealing of my rights made illegal? They keep us underground, working hard for the greedy. But when it's time to pay, they turn around and call us needy. My ground too heavy like the Queen Nefertiti. Give me back my pyramid, I'm trying to free Kansas City. Mix and masterminds like your name Bernie Grubbin. Well, I'ma keep leading like a young Harry Dubbin. You can take my wings, but I'm still gon' fly. And even when you added me, the booty don't lie. Yeah, I keep singing, I'ma keep writing songs. I'm tired of Marvin asking me what's going on. March to the streets, cause I'm willing and I'm able. Categorize me, I defy every label. And while you selling dope, we gon' keep selling hope. We rising up now, you gotta deal, you gotta cope. Will you be electric sheep, electric ladies, will you sleep? Or will you preach?
All right, so we are back here at the Apex Hour for our last favorite bit, everybody's favorite bit of the show, which is what's turning you on this week. And this is the Apex Hour on KSUU Thunder 91.1. So who would like to go first? We've got Melissa, Michelle, and Jordan telling us what's turning you on this week.
All right, I guess I've been voted out. I'm going first. I'm really into a new TV show on AMC called The Terror. Imaginary Forces did their title design, and I'm really digging it. I love the title so much because in any given film, TV show, it's like the portal. It's like the first impression of like what the show or movie is about. So I think they did a really good job on that one.
What's that show about?
It's in the 1840s. It's about two ships that were sailing in the Antarctic. They were trying to like explore, and their ships got stuck, and then they never come back. So it's like a horror / survival story. It's really great.
That's cool. And that's The Terror.
The Terror.
And it's on AMC?
I believe it's on AMC.
Okay, great. We'll check it out. All right,
might
who's
watch
next?
that show. So something that I'm always into is this podcast, which is my favorite podcast ever. But it's called My Favorite Murder. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I have, and I haven't listened to it yet,
really?
but I totally...
I am obsessed because it sounds creepy, but like I'm obsessed with like learning about serial killers and murder and all of that stuff. So one's a comedian and one, she was on Food Network for a while. And they just met and made this podcast. And basically, I mean, they're like an hour and a half episodes. So a lot of it is them just talking about their normal days or random things or shows or stuff. But then they get to just each of them prepares a murder and they talk about it. But it's really funny. It's not like serious or anything. They make jokes and it's really funny. I love it.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll look forward to that podcast. And last but not least, what's turning you on this week?
This might be slightly lame, but I just found a really good deal on a swimsuit that has sharks all over it. I'm super into sharks, and so I lost all of my financial willpower and bought it today, and it was shipped today. So it's going to be a good day next week when I get it in.
That's fantastic. Well, that's awesome. So once again, we have Melissa Kruger here, Michelle Gray, and Jordan Haskell. And these are seniors in our Bachelor of Fine Arts program. And their work is is part of the big exhibition at the SUMA Museum, Southern Utah Museum of Art, that's running right now all the time. It's there. Go check it out. It's free admission into that museum all the way through until I believe it's May 5th. And that's all the time we have today. So I'm going to sign off here. You're listening to the Apex Hour. My name is Lynn Vartan, Thunder 91.1, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much for listening to the Apex Hour here on KSUU Thunder 91.1. Come find us again next Thursday at 3 p.m. for more conversations with the visiting guests at Southern Utah University and new music to discover for your next playlist. And in the meantime, we would love to see you at our events on campus. To find out more, check out suu.edu/apex or email us at suuapex@icloud.com. Until next week, this is Lynn Vartan saying goodbye from the Apex Hour here on Thunder 91.1.